There's a quiet ache that comes from realizing you're not the one they think of first, not the first name in their thoughts, not the face they search for in a room. You smile, you show up, you care, but somehow their attention always seems to drift elsewhere. And in that silence, a question begins to take root. What if I'm just invisible? But what if that question didn't mark an end, but a beginning? A turning point where you no longer wait to be chosen, but begin choosing yourself. Imagine becoming someone who no longer depends on others for a sense of importance, but radiates presence from within, a presence so steady, so grounded, it quietly reshapes how the world sees you. This isn't a story about chasing love or applause. It's a journey back to your center, guided by timeless wisdom and quiet strength. Because the truth is, you don't need to be loud to be unforgettable. You only need to live with such self-respect, clarity, and purpose that the world can't help but pause when you enter the room. And that journey, your journey, begins right here. There comes a moment in life when we quietly begin to understand a painful truth. We are not always the first choice in the hearts of others. We may not be the person they think of first, not the name that lingers in their mind, not the one they look for in a crowded room. Their attention, their care, their affection. Somehow it always seems to drift elsewhere. And in that quiet, lonely space, we begin to wonder if perhaps we are simply not enough. These moments can leave invisible scars, carving doubts into the way we see ourselves. But this story, your story, doesn't have to end in that silence. Today marks the beginning of a journey, a powerful shift not centered on begging to be loved, but on becoming someone so deeply rooted in their own light that others cannot help but be drawn to it. We are not here to change who you are. On the contrary, this is about polishing the brilliance that already exists within you and allowing it to rise unshaken and bright. This journey isn't about chasing validation. It's about growing into the kind of person who commands presence, who turns every room they enter into a space of quiet attention. If you've ever felt like an afterthought, if you've ever sensed that your presence fades too easily into the background, this is where that chapter ends. Because from this moment on, you are stepping into something new. We're going to explore timeless wisdom and practical steps that will help you move from overlooked to unforgettable. You'll begin to notice how others respond to your words differently, how your presence holds more weight, how your story begins to echo in the minds of those around you. This isn't just about being seen, it's about being remembered. So let go of that old identity, the one who waited to be chosen. Now is the time to choose yourself. Now is the time to rewrite your narrative one line at a time. Are you ready to begin that transformation? Let's take the first step together. In the teachings of Stoic philosophy, to become truly unforgettable is not about being loud or flamboyant. It's about becoming quietly magnetic. That magnetism comes not from revealing everything about yourself instantly, but from allowing others to discover you piece by piece, moment by moment. To be fascinating is to invite curiosity, not by hiding who you are, but by revealing yourself with intention, like unfolding the pages of a great novel, one chapter at a time. Think of it like this: when you meet someone and they tell you everything about themselves in the first few minutes. What mystery remains? Where is the depth, the journey, the slow revelation that keeps you coming back? On the other hand, someone who shares just a single meaningful story during each conversation, someone who reveals themselves thoughtfully and patiently, makes every interaction feel valuable, as if you're slowly unearthing a hidden treasure. This isn't a trick, it's a way of life. Stoics like Epictetus believe that true wisdom lies in restraint and self-awareness, and in choosing the right moment for expression. You don't need to spill your soul all at once to be known. Sometimes silence speaks louder. Sometimes a few well-chosen words linger far longer than a flood of explanations. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, lived by this very principle. He led not just an empire, but also an internal world of discipline and poise. He didn't reveal his strategies, his dreams, or his pain all at once. He revealed them slowly, like someone walking through a fog, showing only what was necessary at the right time. That restraint didn't make him cold. It made him unforgettable. His silence carried more weight than many people's loudest declarations. And Seneca reminds us of something just as important: to live fully in the present moment. When you speak, when you share your experiences, don't rush. Let your words land gently, like lines in a handwritten journal. Let others earn the right to hear more. In doing so, your relationships grow not out of urgency, but out of depth. Being intriguing doesn't require pretense. It simply means you treat your own story with respect, and in doing so, you teach others to do the same. So remember, to be fascinating is not to perform, but to embody. You don't need to craft a perfect image. You only need to be aware of what you give and how you give it. And when you do, you stop being a blur in someone's memory. You become a living story they want to keep reading. And now that you understand how to draw people in without forcing it, we move into the next essential step. It's time to understand your worth on a deeper level and learn how to express it. Let's continue with the second principle. Now that you've begun to understand how to carry yourself with quiet intrigue, the next step is just as vital: recognizing and asserting your value from within. Because once you know your worth, you stop chasing validation. You start commanding respect. Remember what the Stoics taught us. You may not have control over the world around you, but you do have control over your mind. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your thoughts, not external events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That simple truth is a pillar of Stoic philosophy. It reminds us that the most solid foundation for self-worth isn't built from the approval of others, but from our own clarity, resilience, and conscious choices. Think about someone who pursues an artistic path not for applause, but because it reflects their essence. Or someone who keeps moving forward through adversity, fueled not by outside praise, but by inner conviction. These are rare souls. They live with purpose, not performance. And because they respect themselves deeply, the world begins to respect them in return. Their quiet determination becomes magnetic, a quiet force that cannot be ignored. Seneca, another profound Stoic thinker, brought our attention to something we often overlook: time. He didn't say life is short, but rather that we waste much of it. And perhaps one of the greatest wastes of time is giving our energy to people who don't see our worth. Choosing to walk away from those who don't value you isn't bitterness. It's wisdom. It's a declaration that your time matters and your soul deserves more than spaces where it is overlooked. Epictetus also reminds us that our reactions define us, not our circumstances. You may not be able to shape how others behave, but you can always choose how you carry yourself. And when you stop needing external approval to validate who you are, you begin to embody a quiet kind of confidence. Not the loud kind that demands attention, but the steady presence that earns it. That is the essence of real power. That is the path to being seen, not just noticed. Asserting your importance through a Stoic lens is not arrogance, nor is it attention-seeking. It's a subtle, strong alignment between who you are and how you act. It means knowing your boundaries, pursuing your goals with quiet focus, and walking through the world with dignity. And when you do this consistently, others begin to recognize your strength, not because you ask them to, but because they cannot deny it. You become someone of substance, someone who matters. And now, once your value is clear in your own eyes, something beautiful begins to grow from that space: happiness, the kind that no one can give or take away. The third step on our journey is about learning how to create your own joy. This principle lies at the heart of Stoic philosophy. When you discover how to cultivate joy from within, you begin to shine with a quiet light that touches everyone around you. It's not about pretending to be happy or forcing a smile for the sake of appearance. It's about tapping into the deep, authentic joy that comes from living a life aligned with your values and passions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." In other words, happiness is not something to be handed to you by another. It doesn't arrive through status, applause, or perfection. It's something you nurture from the inside through the way you think and how you choose to see the world. When you fill your days with meaning, when you take pride in your work and find peace in your routines, a quiet confidence begins to emerge. People are drawn to that kind of energy. There is something deeply attractive about someone who finds fulfillment in their own space, who radiates peace, not because life is easy, but because their spirit is steady. Seneca spoke of this as well. He urged us to seek joy in the present, not in some distant future we may never reach. His message was clear. Don't waste your life waiting for happiness to arrive. Live now. Feel now. Find joy in what is already yours. That shift in mindset from chasing to appreciating can transform your entire experience of the world. Epictetus adds another layer to this truth. He taught us that we should not place our happiness in things we can't control. Instead, look inward. Goodness, peace, meaning these things live inside you. And the moment you begin to tend to them, your life starts to bloom, not for others, but for you. This philosophy is more than words, it's practical. It means waking up and choosing to pursue what moves your heart. It means building a life where you can feel at home within yourself, where your health, your space, your choices all reflect care and clarity. And when you live this way, something amazing happens. You stop needing others to complete you. Instead, you offer your wholeness to the world, and that offering is powerful. It draws people in not because you're trying to be loved, but because you already are in your own eyes. Now that you understand the power of cultivating inner joy, we take the next step in our journey. It's time to discover how mastering your emotions can elevate not only your relationships, but your entire life. When joy begins to radiate from within you, it creates something truly powerful. People don't gravitate toward you because they feel obligated to make you happy. They're drawn to your natural glow, the kind of happiness that isn't dependent on attention or praise. It's a quiet, steady light that speaks for itself. And when that joy is rooted in presence, in a positive mindset, and in an ability to find fulfillment on your own terms, it creates a magnetic force. Without pressure, without asking you, begin to matter more to others, because your happiness uplifts, inspires, and invites them into something genuine. This brings us to the next step on our journey, recognizing your worth and inspiring others to walk beside you. Too often, we underestimate the quiet power of self-worth. But in seeking respect from others, acknowledging your own value is not just important, it's essential. When you begin to see yourself not as someone seeking approval, but as a rare and valuable presence, everything changes. Imagine yourself as a hidden treasure. Not everyone will find you, and not everyone should. Only those who bring patience, honesty, and effort will discover what you truly offer. This mindset isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. And it's deeply aligned with the teachings of Stoic masters like Epictetus, who believe that anything truly great takes time. Just like a precious stone is slowly shaped and polished, meaningful relationships are not formed in haste. They grow through shared moments, mutual growth, and quiet consistency. When you live this way, you don't beg to be seen. You allow others to discover you step by step. And when they do, they value you more because they've invested something of themselves in that journey. Marcus Aurelius echoed this beautifully when he wrote that happiness and self-respect begin within us. The way we view ourselves becomes the blueprint for how others learn to view us. A joyful life is not made of dramatic victories, but of small daily moments. moments filled with presence, self-trust, and quiet gratitude. When you walk through the world confident in your value, people notice. But more importantly, you notice. You begin to treat yourself better. You begin to protect your time, your energy, your peace. As Seneca wisely pointed out, most of our fears exist only in our minds. The fear that we will be overlooked or dismissed is often a reflection of our imagination, not reality. And the more we value ourselves, the more others begin to do the same. Practicing this principle means living in a way that mirrors your worth. It's found in your commitment to growth, in how you care for your mind and body, in the kind of life you're building each day. You're not waiting for someone to grant you significance. You're creating a life that speaks for itself. And in doing so, you become someone others admire, not for what you demand, but for what you embody. From here, we step into another truth. Respect is not won by racing ahead or showcasing grand achievements. The most lasting kind of respect is born from how we live moment to moment. The fifth step is about defining your own path. In the Stoic journey toward self-respect and external recognition, the most powerful act is to live authentically. You don't need a grand title, applause, or approval to be meaningful. What matters is whether you are present in your life, whether you're chasing dreams that ignite you, and whether your actions reflect who you truly are. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Live in harmony with yourself, and you'll live in harmony with the world." This inner alignment is not a gift. It's something you cultivate. It means overcoming the distractions of ego and desire, and finding fulfillment in your own space rather than relying on someone else to fill the emptiness. And when you live like this, people begin to see you differently. You're no longer someone looking to be completed. You're whole. And that makes you irresistible. Seneca added a beautiful truth to this idea. He said, if you wish to be loved, first learn to love yourself. Love, then, is not something we wait for. It's something we build inwardly through compassion, acceptance, and honesty with ourselves. When you stop chasing love and start embodying it, others feel it. They are drawn to the calm certainty that you radiate. Epictetus, always wise, reminded us that we are not disturbed by events themselves, but by how we interpret them. This perspective helps us realize that we do not need to obsess over how we're perceived. Our job is to live fully, to engage in meaningful work, to enjoy personal hobbies, and to build strong relationships with those who matter. That's where your energy belongs. When you set goals that matter to you and pursue them with quiet determination, you become someone of substance, someone who lives with meaning, not performance. And that life lived fully and honestly becomes an invitation. Others will want to be part of it, not because you ask them to, but because they see the value in being close to someone so alive and grounded. And now that you've begun to understand how living your truth attracts others, naturally, we move forward. The next step explores a powerful but often overlooked truth: how to stop waiting and start putting yourself first. Now that you've begun defining your own path, it becomes essential to protect it and yourself with intention. Because at the heart of every meaningful connection is a well-cared-for self. The sixth step is all about putting yourself first, not as an act of ego, but as a practice of wisdom. In Stoicism, self-care and self-control are not luxuries, they are responsibilities. They are the quiet disciplines that strengthen your core and elevate every part of your life. This isn't about being selfish, it's about creating a life where your needs are honored, your boundaries respected, and your inner peace fiercely guarded. When you learn to meet your own needs emotionally, physically, and mentally, you begin to walk through the world differently. You don't ask others to fill your gaps. Instead, you arrive full. And that fullness, that quiet completeness, becomes a magnet. People are naturally drawn to those who value themselves because it signals strength, clarity, and balance. Marcus Aurelius, whose words continue to echo through time, once said that the mind is like a fortress, invulnerable to outside forces unless we choose to let them in. Your thoughts, your inner life, your choices, these are your power. They shape how you experience the world. And when you protect your inner world with intention, you gain a steadiness that external chaos cannot shake. Seneca, too, spoke of the strength found in self-reliance. He reminded us that true joy is not something others can hand to us. It is cultivated within. When you stop seeking happiness in people or circumstances, you begin to build it from the ground up on your own terms. And that joy, rooted in independence, becomes a kind of armor. Epictetus emphasized that we may not control every situation we face, but we always control how we respond. Life may throw curveballs, but the choice of how to act, how to feel, how to carry yourself, that's yours. And within that choice lies the seed of satisfaction, of peace, of health. Prioritizing yourself, then, is not just a preference. It's a necessity. It means carving out time for what matters to you. It means saying no when needed, not with guilt, but with grace. It means tending to your growth, your energy, your joy. Because when you take care of yourself fully, you don't just improve your own life. You become an example, a reminder to others that they too deserve the same care. Self-prioritization is one of the clearest declarations of self-worth. It sends a message: I matter. My health matters. My time matters. And when you live from that place, others begin to treat you accordingly. Your relationships grow healthier. Your life becomes more aligned. And your energy begins to feel lighter, more focused, more whole. And now, as you continue to build this unshakable foundation, we arrive at another principle that defines how people perceive you, the value of your time. This brings us to the seventh key: valuing your time like gold. Time is the one resource we can never get back. It slips through our hands, moment by moment, shaping the very structure of our lives. And yet it's easy to forget how priceless it is. In the grand tapestry of existence, the way you treat your time speaks volumes about how much you respect yourself and how much others should too. Every minute you give to someone is a gift. It's not just about being present. It's about sharing the most precious currency you have. When you show up, when you listen, when you engage, you're offering something that can never be returned. And that in itself is powerful. Marcus Aurelius, always mindful of mortality, once reminded us that we cannot live as though we have endless years ahead. This insight calls us to live deliberately, to make conscious choices with our days. Your time should reflect your values. It should be spent on things that make you feel alive, connected, fulfilled. Seneca offered an equally powerful reflection. He said that life is not short. We just waste a lot of it. We spend it worrying, pleasing, overcommitting. But when you begin to guard your time, when you choose carefully how and where to invest it, you begin to send a message to the world: my presence is meaningful. And Epictetus, ever practical, encouraged us to focus our time on what we can control: our learning, our actions, our growth. You're not obligated to always be available. You don't owe every person your energy. You have plans. You have priorities. You are allowed to put yourself at the top of your own list. Valuing your time doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means being intentional. It means showing up fully for the people and pursuits that matter, while giving yourself permission to step back from those that don't. It's about quality over quantity, purpose over performance. Ultimately, when you honor your time, you honor your life. You create space for what truly matters, space for rest, for joy, for connection, and for you. And now that we've uncovered how honoring your time uplifts your sense of worth, the journey continues with something even more subtle: how your presence, your very energy, can speak louder than words. When you start managing your time wisely and invest it in things that truly matter, something remarkable happens. Your presence becomes valuable. Not because you chase attention, but because you've built a life that feels complete, one where every moment is spent with purpose. In doing so, you transform yourself into someone people prioritize not out of obligation, but out of admiration. And now we step into another important principle that balances self-respect with human connection. The 8th step is to find harmony in initiating interactions. We often think that to maintain relationships, we must always be the one to reach out first to send the message to plan the next meeting. But there's wisdom in stepping back sometimes and allowing space for the other person to take the lead. When you're not always the first to text, to call, or to suggest something, it sends a quiet but powerful message that you have your own life, that your world doesn't revolve around someone else, and that your time is something you hold with care. This pause in constant communication gives the other person a chance to reflect, to miss you, to show of their own will that you matter. When you're always the one initiating, and it may appear that you are chasing the connection. But when you allow others to step in to invest, to reach out, mutual effort is created. It reveals who truly values your presence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Life is more like wrestling than dancing." In other words, it's about adapting, adjusting, moving in response to what's around you. In relationships, this means you don't always have to lead. Sometimes the most meaningful gesture is to wait to observe and to allow the other person to move toward you. This doesn't make you passive, it makes you balanced. Seneca spoke about the power of standing on your own 2 feet. He believed we should never place our happiness entirely in someone else's hands. When you choose not to be the one who always initiates, you're not playing games. You're simply showing that your happiness is rooted in yourself. You're allowing room for others to show their care, to step into the space you've made available. Epictetus offered a profound insight that applies here as well. He reminded us that we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth, meaning we should listen more than we speak. This isn't just about silence. It's about intentional communication, about knowing when to reach out and when to step back, when to speak, and when to simply hold space. Putting this into practice means pausing before you always send the next message. It means reflecting on whether the connection is mutual or if you're carrying all the weight. And when you give someone that opportunity to show up, to miss you, to initiate, what they do in that space tells you everything you need to know. This isn't about emotional manipulation. It's about balance. And when both sides are genuinely involved, the relationship feels lighter, stronger, and far more real. Which brings us to a closely related truth in any relationship, no matter how deep. Mastering your own emotions is essential. The 9th step is to control your emotions with clarity and grace. To become a person of value in someone's life, you must learn how to hold space for your emotions without letting them take over. In the heart of every meaningful bond lies the ability to remain grounded, even when things become messy or uncertain. You're not suppressing what you feel, but rather learning to carry it with patience, dignity, and awareness. Marcus Aurelius, a voice of enduring Stoic wisdom, believed that calmness is the wisest response to negativity. He taught that when others act out of frustration or pain, our strength lies in not matching that energy. Instead, we pause, breathe, reflect. We respond, not react. This emotional composure not only protects your peace, but elevates the entire tone of your relationships. Seneca warned us against worrying before there is even reason to worry. He understood how often we suffer from things that haven't yet happened. Emotional restraint is not coldness, it's a form of trust. Trust in yourself, in the natural unfolding of events, and in your ability to handle whatever comes. It helps you avoid unnecessary drama, miscommunication, and regretful words spoken too soon. Epictetus adds another crucial insight. What matters is not what happens, but how we respond to what happens. This is especially true in close relationships. You won't always control how others treat you, but you can control your internal world, your attitude, your boundaries, your emotional investment. That's your power. And in protecting that power, you protect your heart. This kind of emotional intelligence doesn't mean shutting down or pretending not to care. It means taking your time. It means allowing things to develop slowly. Instead of plunging headfirst into deep emotions too soon, you learn to test the waters to build a connection one layer at a time. It's not distance. It's wisdom. And when you live this way, something beautiful happens. You become more attractive, not because you're emotionally distant, but because you carry your emotions with maturity. You're not swept away. You're not overwhelmed. You are present, self-respecting, and emotionally grounded. Now that you've learned the power of restraint and balance in your emotional life, the final key awaits a principle that speaks to the core of human connection. It's time to understand the strength of authenticity and how it transforms every relationship you touch. When you manage your emotions with wisdom and allow relationships to unfold naturally, you become a steady presence, someone others turn to, not out of habit, but out of genuine respect and admiration. Emotional balance is not about suppressing what you feel. It's about honoring your emotions while giving them space to grow at the right pace with the right people. Now we arrive at a step that may be the most challenging of all, yet it is also the most empowering. The 10th step is knowing the right moment to walk away. In your journey of becoming someone truly valued by others, there comes a time when you must protect your self-respect above all else. This isn't about punishing others or making grand exits. It's about recognizing when a space no longer honors your worth and having the strength to step out of it. When respect is no longer mutual, staying is not loyalty. It's self-abandonment. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, spoke about the strength found in mastering your mind. True power, he said, lies not in controlling external events, but in controlling your response to them. This principle applies deeply here. You cannot force others to value you, but you can choose to leave spaces where you are not valued. That choice is where your power begins. Seneca, with his enduring wisdom, reminded us that the true beauty of life is not in how long it lasts, but in how meaningfully it is lived. Don't waste your time in relationships that drain you. It is not the number of people you're connected to that defines the quality of your life, but the richness and depth of those connections. Choose quality. Choose sincerity. Choose those who choose you. Epictetus added that real freedom is not the absence of obstacles, but the ability to choose to walk away from anything that insults your soul. That is not coldness, it is clarity. And when you understand this, walking away from what no longer serves you becomes not a loss, but a declaration, a bold stand for your self-worth. To leave when respect fades is not an act of weakness, but one of quiet, profound strength. You're saying, without needing to raise your voice, that you know your value, and others, whether they realize it immediately or not, will see that too. And once you embrace this truth, you unlock another source of power, your capacity for growth. This brings us to the 11th insight: discover happiness in learning and evolving. There's something magnetic about a person who is constantly growing, not in a loud, boastful way, but with quiet curiosity. When you see life as a continuous opportunity to learn, you become someone full of depth and vitality. Each new experience, each book, each story you hear adds richness to your character. You don't remain stagnant. You bloom. Imagine yourself as a garden. The more you water it with knowledge, the more vibrant it becomes. Trying new hobbies, learning from others, exploring new ideas. These are not just pastimes. They're forms of self-expression. They show that you are alive, changing, evolving, and that evolution is endlessly compelling to those around you. People are naturally drawn to growth. They want to be near someone who's always discovering, always refining, always expanding. It makes you interesting. It makes you memorable. And most of all, it makes you inspiring. This growth also connects to one of the most underrated powers in human connection, kindness. So let's talk about the 12th and final step: foster kindness and empathy. Kindness is not about grand gestures or trying to fix everyone's problems. It's about presence. It's found in the way you listen, the way you pay attention, the way you make someone feel seen without needing to say much. Simple acts, offering help without being asked. Giving someone your undivided attention, smiling when it matters. These are the moments that leave lasting imprints. Kindness tells others, "You matter to me." And when you show this kind of care, it reflects the strength of your own heart. It reveals not just emotional intelligence, but emotional generosity. People gravitate toward warmth. In a world that often feels cold and distracted, kindness becomes a light, a soft glow that people want to stand near, a safe space they return to. It's not about being perfect or always available. It's about being sincere. Empathy and compassion are the quiet languages of human connection. They don't need translation. They are felt instantly, deeply. And when you practice them consistently, you become someone people not only admire, but cherish. As we come to the end of this journey together, the message I want to leave with you is this: you are enough. Your worth is not measured by how others treat you or how many people notice you. It is measured by how deeply you believe in yourself, how boldly you protect your peace, and how sincerely you live each day. Never let your reflection be shaped by someone else's gaze. Your value is not up for negotiation. It's already written in your story, in your struggles, in your strengths. You are a masterpiece in progress, painted with your own experiences, mistakes, and dreams. The 12 principles we explored today are not simply suggestions. They are reminders. Reminders of who you are and what you deserve. Each time you choose yourself, each time you stand tall in your truth, each time you walk away from what dims your light, you're telling the world, I matter. I am not here to be overlooked. I am here to be known, to grow, to live with meaning. And though this video comes to a close, your journey is just beginning. The path of self-discovery and quiet strength never ends. If what we've shared today brought you insight, clarity, or even just a moment of stillness, I invite you to subscribe and stay connected. There is so much more ahead. Thank you for sharing this time with me, for listening, for reflecting, for showing up for yourself. Keep learning, keep growing, and always remember, this is your story. You are the author, and the next chapter begins whenever you decide. Until we meet again, take care, and never forget how deeply you are worth being remembered.